everybody, we are back for the rest of the NFL games. Now, first up is Vegas and Denver. All right, Vegas came out with a win at Mile High Stadium, 17-16. First off, we need to say that Jimmy G looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, he actually looks pretty solid. We really need to give him credit there. I mean, as you know, when you compare him to Derek Carr, there's really no comparison, Ricardo. I mean, the guy really ended with some good moments. Not to mention the fact that he had to leave the game a couple of times so that way he could wrap his foot up, and also just general R&R, right? 4 of 5 passing in the entire series for 60 yards and a 6-yard touchdown pass to Jakobi Meyers, right? Not to mention, he was good with his feet even. So we didn't even see any semblance of the surgery that he had to undergo on his foot. Right? A 8-yard scramble on a 3rd and 7 play, mind you, sealed the win for the Las Vegas Raiders. Ricardo, shining light, Jakobi Meyers. It's like the two of them played in New England, but of course they didn't, right? Of course they didn't. So it seems like that team is really starting to look like the old Patriots offense. You have McDaniels at the head coaching position. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, who is a former backup to Tom Brady for the New England Patriots, and Jakobi Meyers, who just recently was traded over to the Las Vegas Raiders. He's starting to show that, yes, I was a solid addition to that Patriots offense,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm really starting to show it here, but not with the New England Patriots. It's solid. It was a pretty good Las Vegas Raiders team, and honestly, offense specifically. Right.
And then we got to give credit to it. I mean, the player of the game, like Jimmy G was good, but the player of the game has to be Max Crosby, leader of that front four for the Oakland Raiders, because after the Broncos scored those 2 touchdowns, nothing more that the Broncos did. I mean, they pretty much shut them down, whether it was the run game or the passing game. They got some good sacks on Russell Wilson. They pressured him. They made him uncomfortable. It was definitely a tale of 2 halves to start for that game. The first half belonged to the Broncos, second half belonged to the Raiders. It was very, very, very interesting and weird to watch, but it was a good game. And Raiders, they look okay. They're looking okay. They might win.
The offense at least.
Yeah. They're looking okay, and we'll see how they do. But yeah, it is Josh McDaniels' system from New England into Las Vegas now. So
play to your strength, I guess.
It is a weird thing to see, but good thing about Jakobi Meyers that is going to help a lot. It's going to get Devontae Adams a little bit less attention if they're able to finally be like, okay, we have to pay attention to Jakobi Meyers here and there. It'll give Devontae Adams that split second that he needs in order to get open and to have some open opportunities.
On the opposite end of the ball, the other team, of course, we need to address the Denver Broncos. Well, what do we say, Ricardo? Honestly, okay, first off, they start the game with an onside kick.
Sean Payton to his tee.
Ricardo, do you want to explain that a little bit further? Because I'm not entirely sure I understand that.
So pretty much is that Sean Payton in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning, when they came back from halftime, they kicked the onside kick and they recovered it in the Super Bowl. Everyone's like, who the hell kicks an onside kick to start off the second half in the Super Bowl? So it was very much a Sean Payton mantra kind of thing about being aggressive. They almost got it. Almost. Like they just had they let the ball go a little bit further, it would have been a beautiful execution of a play. But yeah, that's what it is. Background for that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I must have I missed that game. I missed that game for sure. So otherwise I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, it is Sean Payton. So that does make sense. That does make plenty of sense. Ricardo, okay. Elephant in the room, Russell Wilson. He looks better. That's really what I would say. Honestly, that's really what I would say. He looks better.
Mm-hmm.
As we expected him to look with Sean Payton taking the reins on him, right? It's week 1, so we will continue to see the way the Denver Broncos play for the next few weeks. That's really what I have to say is that Russell Wilson does look a little bit better.
Does look a little bit better. A lot of it has to be with Sean Payton's style of offense. Well, not style, but like he's helping his quarterback out with some easy plays to get the ball out of his hands early. And I saw Russell Wilson a little less gun shy this week compared to last year. So that is a step in the right direction, like you said. But they did lose this game. They did lose this game, in which they definitely could have won at home. Could have been a statement, and they scored less than 20 points doing it, less than 17. So
it was a repeat from last year, where they would get 16 points and they would lose. They would lose by 2 touchdowns or less.
Yeah. However, I do have to mention the bright spot for this team has to be Patrick Surtain II. I mean, you saw the job that he did on Davante Adams. It was spectacular, especially for a tall corner to stay in front of the guy and stay in the hip. He's definitely the bright spot for this team for the next couple of years to come, no matter what happens.
Pat Surtain has continued to show himself to be a formidable opponent against any offense, particularly the star wide receiver of that offense. We do have to say, Ricardo, that Davante Adams has proven himself to be just as good away from Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
So because of that, it seemed like the Denver Broncos knew exactly who they were going up against and what they were going up against, so they adjusted accordingly. And Pat Surtain really just did fulfill that role. We have to give him credit there for sure. Going into the next few weeks, we will continue to see how much better the Vegas Raiders become and how much better the Denver Broncos become. These are 2 teams that started pretty close to the bottom.
Yes.
So really the only place that they can go is the top. They do look better in some areas, but others they can improve in for sure. Going into this next game, this was ugly. I think this might have been the ugliest game. If it wasn't the Giants game, this might have been the ugliest game. The Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams came out with the win 30-13, and mind you, the Rams did not have Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
They did not have their top receiver. Matt Stafford was healthy, and he looked healthy. He looked pretty good. He looked like he was performing. He was performing well going into this game, but Seattle lost this game through and through, and that's really something that we have to say. Like, this was no battle at all. The score really doesn't reflect that. Honestly, Seattle should have just gotten 6, because I mean they were just. It was terrible. It was not good.
Jose, it's what we talked about before the beginning of the year. I mean, we saw this, just a downward trajectory as in the halfway point of last season as far as how they're looking. It's still week 1, I get it, but like I think this is more realistically of who they are. A team that fights hard, very nitty gritty, but everyone knows what the formula is. And what did we say about Geno Smith? Geno Smith is who he is at this point. He had a great year, but don't think he's that special.
That's it. Honestly, and I mean, there's really nothing else to say after this, right? It's because Seattle just blew this game.
Yeah.
Blew this game. They were lucky to have gotten 13 points, right? And mind you, it is against a Rams team that pretty much very much has recovered from last year, right? Okay, mind you, and I did forget to mention this, a team that was penalized so many times throughout this game. The Rams got flag after flag, it seemed like, and they were still able to come out with such a huge win, right, without their top receiver as well. So Matt Stafford going into the next few weeks, we're definitely going to keep an eye on him because, yes, he is healthy, but he's still getting up there in age, right? And I think that he is around the same lines as, like, say, Jared Goff, to where the 2 of them play similarly and the 2 of them are in similar areas of their career. Just one is slightly better than the other. That's really it. So we'll keep an eye on Matt Stafford going into these next few weeks. Next game that's up. This is a weird one, and it's better than it actually was, or than it actually looks. Cleveland 24, Cincinnati 3. The Browns came back. The Browns came out with the win, and Cincinnati, it looks like they just blew it out of the water, but it's really not that bad.
Both teams played awful. I watched this game from start to finish. They played awful. Like, it was just bad football from both sides of the ball. However, Cleveland was able to go back to its roots, which is running the football and giving and play action, which is very much becoming a good formula for Deshaun Watson. Surprise, surprise, he's here to play. We didn't think he was going to be chopped liver coming into this year.
Right.
I still believe that they're still just a good team, not a great team. And
Yeah.
in a run, and when Jose, it was just the field was ugly. It was mud all over the place, raining, and that has to be the worst game of Joe Burrow's career that I've ever seen. And
100%.
mind you, I've seen Joe Burrow play back in college at LSU, like the start of that national championship season. I've seen every single one of his games. That is the worst game I've seen him play, and I don't think that's going to happen again. I mean,
I don't think so.
days after signing that contract, that's the game he puts up. I don't think he's going to let that go.
No, not at all, not at all. His heart is in the right place, and it's just too strong for that. So we have to start talking. Okay, and we have to be absolutely fair to Joe Burrow. Number one, he was recovering from an arm injury, and second, it's raining. Like you said, Ricardo, the field was just soaking wet. It just was not bad conditions that led to bad play, and that's really what we have to say for both of these teams. It's just that Cleveland was able to come out with the win. But even then, Ricardo, we have to talk about Deshaun Watson. Holy crap. Like, he was pressured so many times, and he just couldn't keep up with it. He was affected by it, for sure. They were lucky to have gotten those 24 points.
Yeah, and definitely back to what you're saying, the bright spot for the Bengals was their defense. They looked great.
100%.
They were running all over after the ball. Run defense against Nick Chubb. I saw Nick Chubb stopped at the line of scrimmage a couple of times that day. You don't see that happen too often. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. So they have definitely good run defense. Their secondary is definitely looked okay. Other than the second half when they were starting to wear down, when it looked more and more like their offense wasn't doing anything. It was 13-3 for a majority of the football game. Then it was 16-3, and then eventually become 24-3. So bright spot for the Bengals was that defense. Looked like it hadn't missed a beat. Everything else was playing awful.
And now, that was the biggest area of improvement for the Cincinnati Bengals going from last year into this year, and it seems like they're really just coming out strong into this year, which makes us feel a little more hopeful for them.
Yeah.
All right. The Bengals defense is looking really good. Ricardo, I just think this is one big fluke. I think this game is just one huge fluke. As soon as they start going into next week in better conditions and in better health, the Bengals are going to start returning to who they are, and the Cleveland Browns are going to start returning into who they are.
And honestly, this smack in the mouth probably will wake them up a little bit, so it'll definitely help them for the season because they definitely got humbled the other day. So I do agree with you. I don't believe that they're going to be on a downhill trajectory. I think they're definitely going to be the team that you and I believe them to be. And I think Cleveland's going to come back to earth eventually, but they're on a hot start right now. They deserve it.
I'm holding my word from last year that I will not bet against Joey B. I will not bet against Joey B, man. That guy is phenomenal, solid, Mr. Joe Chill himself. Going into this next game, some more bright spots in this one too. It's better than what it looks like for sure. Atlanta versus Carolina. Atlanta came out with the win 24-10. Ricardo, let's talk about it. Bryce Young, go.
Bryce Young looked very, very composed in that game. I mean, one of the bright spot for Carolina. Yes, you guys lost the game by 2 touchdowns, but you may have gotten your guy. This is one game still. We still have to see more on the tape. We'll still have to see him try to win some games, but he looks very composed back there, and it didn't affect him. I mean, it's just offensive line awful. You know how it is. Offensive line. Adam Thielen provided a good safety blanket for him here and there to try to get some good things. But Bryce Young definitely looks composed and definitely looks more than his height suggests. Like, he definitely looks like he's got a huge stature, like innate stature of him that he can do this. And we just have to see more footage. We have to see a couple more games. It is week 1.
Regardless of his interceptions, too, it's the fact of it's how he looked after those things happened.
Yeah.
And even then, Ricardo, he still held his own, which is good. It's a good look for a new quarterback, especially going through the things that he did throughout this game. Ricardo, I also need to say this is it seems like the Carolina Panthers are reminding me of what the Chicago Bears were 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They found their guy. It looks like they found their guy. It's looking that way so far, right? When Justin Fields was picked up by the Chicago Bears, he looked pretty good too. At the same time, man, it's like there were some bright spots for sure.
Yeah.
So now that the Chicago Bears are really starting to bet on Justin Fields, we'll see how Bryce Young continues to progress going into these next few weeks. Right? If he continues to show us to be this composed young quarterback who's able to hold his own in the pocket, despite that offensive line that's providing him the struggle,
to say the least.
Oh my goodness, he's going to continue to look better. Right? Flipping the script a little bit and starting to talk about the Falcons. Where was Drake London during this game, Ricardo? Oof.
It was definitely a rough game. This was definitely the Bijan Robinson game for Atlanta. The stud out of Texas. By the way, I don't know if you know this, came out of South Point High School from Tucson. So,
yes.
Tucson
right.
native. But he's definitely going to be looking like he'll have contention for Rookie of the Year. Drake London and Kyle Pitts, man, I mean, I break it down to the quarterback. Who do you have back there throwing these passes?
Yeah.
What do we have to see about this? I mean, and there was literally the play where Kyle Pitts, there was nobody next to him within 10 yards. Maybe Drake London got the majority of the coverage, but it's just, I break it down to that. Quarterback and double teaming the first guy, like the main guy that everyone thinks you're going to give the ball to. So, awful is what I have to say.
Yeah.
Awful except for the Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, exactly. For Bijan Robinson, a key player that we need to keep in mind though is that safety Jesse Bates the third.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He definitely made a statement in this game. Atlanta made him one of the highest paid safeties in NFL history, not just in the league now, in NFL history.
Yes.
And he definitely earned his money during this game, so he's going to be he's proven to be a key component throughout this first game. We'll continue to see how he progresses going into the next few games as well. As far as Desmond Ridder goes, okay. Yeah, his numbers look good. He's a case of his numbers look good, but as soon as you start watching the footage, you see something different.
Yeah.
So it's just not, we're not bet on him. Ricardo, my goodness. Okay, this is the team that I've been wanting to talk about with you ever since I watched the highlights. San Fran and Pittsburgh. San Francisco picked up exactly where they left off going into this game, 30-7. Pittsburgh.
And it wasn't even that close.
This game, nowhere near close. Ricardo, what does this mean for the San Francisco 49ers? Because my goodness, chills.
This is their year. They have their guy. This is their year. This is it. This is it for them. I mean, like you got everything you need. You have no excuses. You had a game where Deebo Samuel had a rough outing. Brandon Ayuk with 2 touchdowns. One of them where he mossed a guy in the end zone. I mean, like, not kidding. He mossed the guy in the end zone. Christian McCaffrey not slowing down at all. That defense looking exactly who they looked like. I mean, you're gonna let Kenny Pickett score touchdowns on you? Yeah, okay, sure. Let's try that. So. What this win means to this team, Jose, is that they're I'm repeating this phrase from with the Bears. They're exactly who we thought they were. They're the contenders for the Super Bowl. They are the number 1 seed for the NFC Championship, and they still remain firmly my representative for this year's Super Bowl. And
yes.
until I see something different, no questions. This game just emphasized what I said.
100,000%, Ricardo. I agree with you. This is the team that is going. That's going.
Yeah.
I don't see, like you said, Ricardo. I don't see any other team that's going to stack up against them. I really don't. I really don't. Ricardo. Oh my goodness.
Really quickly before I let you. One of the bright spots that I like is that Brock Purdy got sacked 3 times by T.J. Watt in this game and still did not flinch.
Not once.
Not flinched once, not worried about getting hurt. Nope, still stood back there in that pocket, throwing his passes. All right, let's get him the next play. That's very important after his surgery that he got. That means he's ready to go. No holding back.
Gilbert Kidd. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Ricardo, we can't talk about the 49ers enough. My goodness, I mean, we can go all day with them. They're just all around. Oh, just money, absolute money. Like there's no way. There's no way any other team is going to catch up to them unless they prove us otherwise. Unless we see it with our own two eyes. They're ready. They're ready, and they came out. They came out this game. That is all. That is all, Ricardo. Do we need to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. Oh man, like T.J. Watt, he had a game. Did we expect him to have a game? Yeah. So,
TJ Watt, I mean, I don't know where this hype came from the Steelers, where everyone was so freaking depressed. I'm like, it's still Kenny Pickett at quarterback. Who did you guys think you got?
We said this from the very beginning, before he was even drafted. We said this.
Moving on.
Before he was even drafted. Okay. To bring the mood down a little bit, Ricardo, Tampa Bay against Minnesota, 20-17, Tampa Bay. Ricardo, was Baker Mayfield that good? Once again, no.
You've asked me this question a bunch of times last year. I'm going to answer the same question. No, he just had a good game. That's who he is. He has good games. What do you have? 30 attempts and only 147 yards passing? No, it's not Baker Mayfield. It's just the Vikings can't play freaking defense to save their lives.
Vikings can't play defense, and the offense. Okay, the offense was missing Adam Thielen, and you already know that. Justin Jefferson was Justin Jefferson. Like we're not going to continue to hype up Justin Jefferson and have him justify the shortcomings of the rest of the offense. It's not just Justin Jefferson. It's not just one player. It's going to have to be the entire team, and that entire team as a whole is just so mediocre, it's painful.
They got rid of Dalvin Cook for what? What did they do in the run game yesterday?
Exactly. For what reason? What was that supposed to do? So for Minnesota, Ricardo, they are who we thought they were.
Theme of today's episode.
That is the motto of this episode right now. They are who we thought they were. The Minnesota Vikings are so painfully mediocre, it's not even freaking funny. It's not even funny.
Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins. That's it. Baker Mayfield has had a good day, and that's what you'll get from Baker Mayfield. That's it.
On the topic of good wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, solid. Mike Evans came out on this game, and he helped Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
He was the reason Baker Mayfield got the numbers that he did. Mike Evans is just proving to be another solid receiver. He's proving to be the wide receiver that he is, that he has continued to be in history throughout his football career.
Big year for Mike Evans, Jose. This is a contract year. The Buccaneers are not going to extend him after this season, so he's trying to put out some good tape now so he can get paid next year. So expect big things out of him.
100%. Honestly, Mike Evans, go right ahead. Go right ahead. You are not going to do anything more for this team than you already have.
Yep.
And that is just the truth. That is literally just the truth. You are not going to be doing anything more, and that is in no way your fault. That is in no way his fault. Ricardo, okay, so we're going to talk about the Pee Wee football game of the week. The Pee Wee football game of the week. Washington versus Arizona, 20-16. Ricardo, Arizona's the worst team in the NFL this year. I'm going to come out and say it. The worst team in the NFL this year.
They have effort, at least this year. That's all I can say about it. I got to be honest, Jose, I didn't watch the game. I saw a couple highlights that they showed on TV. I stand firm to my belief that I'm not going to watch a single game this year. It's not worth my time. And it went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. Washington won.
They lost to the Commanders.
Sam Howell's first win. Well, not first. One of his wins. Good job.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. Now that we've given the kids some time, right?
Yeah.
Next one. This was a solid game. And I'm very excited to see this team. Jacksonville against Indianapolis. 31-21. Jacksonville comes out with the win. Ricardo, Trevor Lawrence looked really good this game. He really did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He definitely had
Travis Etienne with a 26-yard touchdown run. It seems like the offense is meshing. The The offense is meshing very well. They have chemistry, and now they're literally running with it. It's awesome. It's very good football to see.
There's a reason why I picked this team. You remember you laughed at me to win 13 games this season. I think they're at the right time in the right division to win those amount of games, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Jacksonville does. But they're it. They're looking at the next young team to come on the come up.
Ricardo, it's funny too because it's funny too. I laughed because it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, and like there's still this idea in my head that they are the team that they were with Blake Bortles 5-6 years ago.
Yep.
Right. This game is really proving me otherwise. I watched the highlights of this game, and I go, man. I mean, Mr. Sunshine's come to play, man. It's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah. Not to mention, once again, Travis Etienne had a solid game. Trevor Lawrence got hit 6 times. He got hit 6 times this game, and he was still able to come up and score some points for this team to win. Ricardo, he's looking very poised. And honestly, he was the most impressive part of this game to me.
What was impressive to me is that there was a point where Indianapolis had the lead at one point in this game, and Jacksonville flooded under the pressure, proving that they were too young. No, they're like, no, we are the team of this division. We're going to win this game. And give credit to Anthony Richardson. He showed some pop in this game. I don't think he's going to be all that. I still think he's going to be just a project. I mean, you got to pass the football. You got to be able to pass the football consistently and play quarterback consistently. He's a great athlete with tremendous upside and potential if he hits it. That's a big thing huge thing if. And he needs to. It's his first game. He did great, but I wanted this to show to Colts fans to temper your expectations a little bit. Give the kid some time to improve and grow. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to give him a couple years to get better.
This is a quarterback that's going to stumble quite a bit, Ricardo, but he's shown that he has some grit.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Hopefully he's going to carry that, and he's going to use that to his advantage. So we only hope for that. Last point for this, the Colts were definitely missing Jonathan Taylor in this game. Oh my goodness, they were definitely missing him. So that's really the last thing. As soon as Jonathan Taylor comes back, it looks like the Colts are going to be a much stronger team than they were last year. But with Anthony Richardson still developing, Colts fans, once again, Ricardo, you put it perfectly, temper your expectations.
Give it some time, guys. Give it some time. Yeah. Next game,
Baltimore versus Houston. No contest. Baltimore came out with the win 25-9. What was your impression of this game, Ricardo?
It's Baltimore. They won without Lamar Jackson scoring a touchdown. They're showing that they're a much better team already. Against Houston, who's shown some grit with them. Ugly game for C.J. Stroud and those Texans. They're going to have a lot of work to do, but you were a top pick for a reason. You still got some ways to go. Baltimore, I'm really curious to see how they do against better competition in order for me to get a better range of how they're looking. But I mean, I guess a push as far as how I feel about Baltimore. No different than I did before the season started. So we'll see. But we'll see. Well, I want to see Lamar throwing that ball around. I want to see how these receivers look is the main thing.
Definitely. And okay, I'm very happy that you brought up receivers. One person that that we want to give a shout out to is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers really did show some strength in this game. He was a rookie first-round pick. And he had 78 yards receiving and 9 yards rushing. So it looks like he's really starting to show himself as a bit of a double threat, right? So we'll see what exactly he brings to these next few weeks. Second, J.K. Dobbins is out.
Yeah.
Right?
Just poor timing for this guy. I feel so bad for him. Yeah.
He's done. So hopefully we wish him not a speedy recovery, but a good recovery at this point. If he's out for the entire season, that's just kind of written in the books, and it's very unfortunate. It really is. So we only hope that he heals well.
Yes.
That he heals well going into next year. Next game, Ricardo, we're closing in on the last 3. New Orleans versus Tennessee. This was a close one. 16-15, New Orleans came out with the win. Ricardo, does Derek Carr look any better? Because he's all right, but
he's on a better team. He's on a better team, and it's showing. Yeah. It's allowing him to show his potential of what he could do.
My favorite part, and you already know my favorite part of this team, Ricardo, that defense showed up this game. Stopped him very, very good. With the exception of Trevor Penning, he was definitely the weak spot of this game.
Yes.
But he also missed a lot of last season, so he's still recovering going into this season. So I'm not going to bog down on him too much. Regard to the Titans, Ryan Tannehill is who he is. Ryan Tannehill is who he is. We've already seen it before, and we've already said it many times before. He's done. And quite honestly, I think that he should just hang it up.
Yep, no surprises with me. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think he should just hang it up. Also, there were plenty of forced throws to DeAndre Hopkins. He did try and make a presence in this game, but he was overshadowed by Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is still showing himself to be an absolute monster when you hold the ball. But what surprise is there? There are no surprises with the Tennessee Titans.
Nope, not at all.
And it's disappointing. It really is. The last game that we want to talk about is, of course, the Bills and the Jets. We're going to take a short break here, everybody, because there's a lot to unpack here. We'll be right back.
Yep.